Welcome back to Kung Fu Maintenance. Previously I showed you how to cut drywall, especially green board, which is what's used here. And today I wanted to go much further to show kind of the whole process of replacing the drywall and texturing and painting to blend. Green board used for bathrooms and kitchens, anywhere where there's more moisture. I use a sharp utility knife, and you don't have to cut it all the way through. All you got to do is score it across your cut line. Nice and easy. And then you can just break it in half just like so, and then cut through your backside. And that way it doesn't dull your knife. It's nice and easy to work with. So drywall usually has a tapered edge along its longest edge for when you make your seams and join up two pieces of drywall. This way it can be taped and filled and brought nice and level and have a the seam nicely filled in. So I chose to use this for the particular edge that made the most sense, where it met the wall, and that way I could get a better seam. It's a little bit of an art form with drywall. Drywall is skilled work. It tends to pay better than other types of work because it is a skilled work, and takes a bit of an art form to get everything to match just right. So there's two types of fasteners generally used to secure drywall. It's possible to use wood, either the original studs or extra wood added, or to use drywall clips to anchor the drywall. This one is secured to the studs, and this is using drywall screws. You just want to dimple the surface, whether you use drywall nails or drywall screws. Those are your two types of fasteners. You dimple the surface so that it still has its holding power. Biggest mistake there is actually driving the nails or screws too far in, too deep in, because if they go beyond just dimpling the surface, then they weaken the holding power of holding the drywall. Here I'm mixing up some mud. This is a 15-minute mix. It mixes 2 parts powder to 1 part water. And here I'm using a fiberglass tape. You have either a drywall paper to make your joint or a fiberglass tape. Both of them work good. It's just kind of personal preference. Here I'm overlapping each side of the fiberglass and kind of letting that set up before I float the in-between portion. I like the paper for corners, and I like the drywall tape for joints. That tends to work out good. Now there's a couple different ways to secure the existing drywall. You can either secure it to studs. Sometimes you can add a piece of wood in between the studs so that you have something to anchor to. And then there's also drywall clips. It often takes multiple coats to finish drywall well. There's definitely some different schools of thoughts, and definitely there's a progression of coats, and it goes something like your scratch coat, then your brown coat, then the skim coat, then the finish coat. And with these different coats, often you're starting with a smaller knife and progressing to a larger knife. So this is kind of, as I'm going towards the finish coat, using the larger 12-inch knife. Might start with a 4-inch knife, progress to a 6-inch knife, follow with a 9-inch knife, and then using the 12-inch knife. By going with a wider surface area, it's more even to the surrounding surface over time, but you kind of want to start with a smaller knife first, progress to the larger knife as you go. It's not necessary to coat over all of the paper of the drywall. You just want things to float. And when it comes to sanding, I hate sanding because all that drywall, dust, breathing all that stuff, and it all falling on you and everything else. What I prefer is to use a wet rag or sponge. This is much simpler, and it does a great job for small areas. It's just, it's quite effective. And you just kind of want to take your time with it and smooth it all out. The finish you see is going to show through the texture. So this is where the time and the art form comes in of getting this all nice and smooth, and that way your texture will blend. Again, pretty much what you see in the patch is what's going to show through after you texture. Any dimples, any imperfections, all that is going to show through. So it kind of pays to take the time, smooth it all down, and if needed, do extra coats to make sure that everything floats nice and smooth. The smoother the better. After that is spraying on the texture. This one I used a can. You can use a can or you can use a hopper. Can is often nice and convenient for small areas. It's just heated up under hot water, and then it has an adjustment nozzle. I go into it much more in other videos. The main key with knocking down the knockdown texture is holding the knife flat. And the biggest mistake I see people make when texturing with a can or other texture is when they go to knock down, they want to bend the blade at like a 45, and really to get a nice texture, what you want is a 90-degree angle on the blade to the material. So it's just pretty simply knocking down, as you see here. And for the best finish with drywall after it's done, one, you want to make sure you wait the recommended dry time for whatever material you're using. So for this particular can, it was an hour. For other textures, some of them you'll want to wait 24 hours. It really depends, again, on the material that you're using. It sucks to put all that texture on and take all that time and make all that mess and clean all that stuff up, only to, if you painted it too soon, have it the texture basically go away. And if you really want everything to come out perfect, you're going to want to prime it first and then use 2 coats of paint. Now, life doesn't always permit that to happen. Sometimes you have to get the job done and you got to paint it, and that's that. And you get it done. The primer actually has a different function than paint. Primer actually kind of helps hide a lot of imperfections, and it acts as like a stain blocker and a sealer to seal everything out. But it also, it helps hide the different shadows and whatnot. It can really go a long way towards making everything come out better. But here's the finished product. It's a done deal. Again, time doesn't always permit you to do everything, to prime in 2 coats, but it is what it is. At the least, I think this one would benefit from a second coat of paint. I'm pretty happy with how the texture came out. It's not perfect, but pretty good. It's funny how things show up on camera. I can actually see more imperfections than I could see when I was there, but oh well, good enough is good enough. And hopefully next time will be even better. There's a reason drywall is skilled work. It's something you get better at with more and more experience. Hopefully. Hope you liked it. Don't forget to check out the Kung Fu Maintenance ebook. The link is in the description below the video, along with the tools and parts used in a lot of the videos you can find in the video descriptions below. Here with me, I call on your name. In the midst of the praise, given in joy, your peace surrounds me as love overflows. Glory to Jesus,
Savior of my soul. In the midst of the battle, the struggle, the war, as I look up to you, the victory is sure. Your promises stand despite fury and flame. The gates of hell will not prevail. Glory, power, majesty, honor, salvation of my soul. To the night when I cannot see, your light burns bright deep within me. Your words, your instructions, they set me free. The gift of your presence